Hi, my name is Sarah and the team members in my group are named Oner and Ezzy, and this is our market view presentation. In our market view presentation, we'll be analysing two currency pairs.
Now, I'll be discussing how inflation rate affects currency exchange. In this case, a higher inflation rate in the UK will cause the value of the pound sterling to drop. Now, this is due to the fact that price of goods exported will be more expensive for other nations. Evidently, it'll lower the demand for products produced by the UK. This will also result in consumers favoring products made overseas, thus increasing imports to the UK. Now, this increase in imports will obviously also increase the supply in pound sterling into the market, ultimately decreasing the total value of the pound sterling even further. Also, commodity prices have a very great effect when it comes to exchange rates in the world. This is very, very evident in Australia, as the AUD heavily, well, not heavily depends, it's positively correlated with coal and iron ore, and its value greatly depends on it. Now, if the price of those commodities rises, AUD will be expected to appreciate against other major currencies, British pound sterling in this case. However, if prices of those commodities eventually fall, AUD will depreciate against pound sterling and other currencies, thus lowering the value of it. Now, in conclusion, the Australian dollar will depreciate against the British pound sterling within the next 3 to 6 months. This is caused by a number of indicators, including relative inflation rates and the commodity prices in Australia. Now, this is also due to the fact that interest rates are higher in Australia, and they're a lot lower in England, and also because the price for those commodities is very unstable. It's very difficult for AUD to greatly appreciate against the pound sterling.
Australian dollar against the
Thank
US
you.
dollar. The two currencies are the biggest performers in the exchange market. The US dollar is often used as a medium of exchange. By then, this video will reach a conclusion and determine whether the Australian dollar will appreciate or depreciate against the US dollar. I've utilized certain theories, indicators, and analysis in order to form my conclusion, these being in order the historical and predictive analysis, relative interest and inflation rates, power parity theory, and also observing commodity prices. Historical analysis allows us to forecast the future of the Australian dollar. In 1990, the Australian interest rate hit an all-time high of 17.50% in January. Fast forward 26 years to August 2016, it reached a record low of 1.50%. There was a conclusion that with such a high interest rate in 1990, the demand for Australia was increasing, but a decrease in the supply of the Australian dollar. This meant that capital inflow was encouraged due to the demand. On the other hand, capital outflow was discouraged because of a decrease in supply. From this chart, we can observe Australia's interest rate from the year 1995 to 2015. If we carefully observe from the year 2010, we can see that the Australian interest rate sits just below 4%. However, as the year progresses, there is a constant decrease in the interest rate. Predictive analysis pretty much forms up the future of exchange rates, as historical analysis is utilized to observe the past data. According to Australia's econometric models, the interest rate is expected to double to 3% by the year 2020. Currently, Australia is sitting at 1.5% in the third quarter of 2017. In this chart, we can see the predicted exchange rates up until the year 2020 in June. So currently, the Australian dollar is buying 0.79 US cents, and that will increase up until then December. However, beginning from January 2018, the Australian dollar will begin to buy less US cents, as we will see a decrease in the exchange rates. The second indicator, which is the relative interest rate, is not a real number. It is often used by buyers and sellers in the marketplace to make predictions. It's an expression that will either positively or negatively affect the economy and value of a currency within a country. We have a chart here which measures the United States and the Australian interest rates. If we were to compare the two, we will be able to reach a solution. So if we carefully observe the year 2007, we can see that the US and Australian interest rate suddenly drops by approximately 5 to 6%, and that is a very huge decrease. Then if we observe the United States interest rates, we can see that as the year progresses, it is slowly increasing, and the Australian interest rate is decreasing. Now some may think, how does the interest rate have determined the future of the Australian dollar against the US dollar? This greatly links with inflation rates, as it allows us to determine the supply and demand required for the Australian dollar. So by 2020, the Australian inflation rate is expected to hit 2.5%, while the Australian inflation rate is expected to reach 2.2%. As inflation rates increase, import prices will obviously become more expensive, seeing a depreciation in the exchange rates. That would mean that the Australian dollar will buy less US dollars, making exports cheaper. The power parity theory pretty much states that the change in countries' relative price is linked to inflation. It is expected that the currencies of countries with a high inflation rate will weaken against their peers, and countries with a low interest rate will strengthen. Currently, the Australian dollar is trading at 0.79788 US cents at 19 September 2017. It is constantly changing, however, its peak was 0.80 US cents. Bill Evans, who is a chief economist from Westpac, mentions that the Australian dollar is to depreciate by 12.4% against the US dollar. And this is a live chart from Daily FX that shows the Australian dollar against the US. The final indicator that will be analysed are commodity prices. Since Australia is a major exporter of minerals and agricultural products, Australia's export prices declined by 5.7% in the June quarter of 2017. This was due to low prices received for crude materials, inedibles, except fuel, and also mineral fuels, lubricants, and related materials. However, export prices in Australia averaged 53.92 index points from 1974 until 2017, reaching an all-time high of 112.20 index points in 2008's final quarter. A decrease in commodity prices will decrease Australia's value of exports, thus this will result in depreciation. From the graph provided by the Reserve Bank of Australia here, we can see that the latest commodity price index fell by 2.9% in the special drawing rights terms, and this was due to a decrease in the price of iron ore and oil prices. In conclusion, buying goods from America will become more expensive as US imports into Australia will become more expensive. Australia's inflation will increase as imported goods become more expensive. Thus, in the next 3 to 6 months, we will see the Australian dollar depreciate against US dollars. These are the references I had used to support my conclusion, and I would like to thank everyone for watching.